Good.
Ready to start? Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And basically, council.
I want to welcome all of you who are in attendance tonight and welcome our two council people who are joining us via Zoom. We did have a slight delay, but things are working quite well now. So we'll just proceed with business as usual. The minutes from the September 8th, 2020 meeting have been distributed prior to this meeting. Are there any additions? We need to call the roll first. Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Carol?
Yes, here.
Hollenbach? Leontis?
Present.
Here.
Robinette?
Here.
Roland?
Here.
Zanfordino?
Here.
Okay. The minutes from the September 8th, 2020 meeting have been distributed prior to this meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Madam Acting President, I
Yes.
move that we approve the minutes from the regular meeting held September 8th, 2020. Second.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying nay. The motion is carried and the minutes are approved. Do we have any correspondence tonight, Kay?
Yes, I have one item this evening. It's an appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals requested by the mayor. It's Chris Moen for a 2-year term, ending 5/31/22, and that requires your confirmation.
Madam Acting President,
Yes.
I move that we approve the appointment to the zoning board of appeals. Second.
Okay. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying nay. Okay. For the clerk, do we have any lobby visitations tonight?
Yes. The first one is Matt Sayer. Come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, my name is Matt Sayer, and I live at 706 West Gypsy Lane Road. Shall I begin?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I begin, I would like to say that I have a speech impediment and I'm a little nervous, so please bear with me.
We certainly will.
Thank you very much. Once again, I live at 706 West Gypsy Lane Road. And my wife and I moved in there in 2018. When we did so, the easement across the road by the bean field was quite high and littered with trash. I started to mow that to expose the fire plug for safety. And that also discourages drivers from throwing their garbage out there. I give garden vegetables to my neighbors. I have my son in Parks and Rec sporting events. And the house that we bought is being renovated. It's pulled at 180 now. And we're all very invested here, my wife and I. I would like to speak about the speed on that road if I could. It is listed at 35 miles per hour. I'll spare you some of the particulars, but when we moved there in August of 2018, I sent a letter to the newspaper, and I also contacted the city, and there was a radar sign put across the road from my house. The results were short-lived. Cars actually sped up when they got to the sign. It was taken away, nothing changed. I called the police department, I called the captain, invited him to come over and have a drink and sit and watch the cars go by. There was no response. One of my neighbors told me that the police, quote, don't care much about what happens on this side of town. Sometime last week, a 94-foot skid mark appeared in front of my neighbor's house on our road. I have a picture, and I also measured the skid mark. I'd be happy to I'd share that with you. I just wonder how fast a car has to be going to leave a 94-foot skid mark on pavement. It's kind of interesting. I have a 5-year-old son and 2 dogs, and I'd like to keep them. I would like to talk to council about what our plan is moving forward. To keep the traffic down, speed down, and to control this problem. I have brought it to the mayor's attention on Facebook. After 2 days, he stopped responding to me. So I don't know what else to do, but ask that we have a temporary speed bump, a speed study, and or lower the speed. I'm of the opinion that if the speed is lowered to 25 miles per hour, they will indeed go 35. Now, I mean, it's certainly much faster than that. How can we make this happen?
Mr. Thayer?
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's a little hard for us to understand remotely. So
Of course.
could you repeat the street that we're talking about so I can get that in my mind? I didn't catch that.
Yes, I can. It's West Gypsy Lane Road. I'm
West
at
Gypsy Lane?
706.
Is that past Winter Garden?
It is not past Winter Garden. It's actually between the Indian Trace subdivision and the mobile home park.
I'm familiar with that road, and in fact I was this was years ago. I was waiting at the stop sign on Winter Garden, and I saw a fatal accident occur right in front of my eyes there. So that is a very dangerous spot. I'm very sensitive to that. So we have to see what can be done about that. And I don't know if this is we need to get some, maybe Mr. Kraft there can give us some background on how the speed limits are set out there.
Mr. Kraft is not in attendance today.
Oh, it's not, okay. So we'll have to email him.
Mr. Marshwhite might want to explain how cities are required to set up their speed limits per state authorization or law.
There are state requirements, and I'm reasonably sure that 25 would not be allowed. Would not meet those requirements. I think the only answer is enforcement of what's there.
I agree.
I don't think we could legally change the speed limit to 25.
Okay.
Given that it's probably at least a mile without a stop. I think that's one of the warrants that you have to meet.
I would agree with that.
25. So
It's clearly a mile plus.
given the state of the pandemic, department chairs other than me are not here. And so I think that probably these folks will take this back to Public Works and the police to see what can be done about it. But I don't think lowering the speed limit is going to be one of the options. So I think it's going to have to be an enforcement thing.
Okay. I was actually told by the chief of police back in March or April that the cruisers priority at that point was to follow the bus to make sure that the kids were safe, which I completely understand. But even in June through August, there was no change that I saw. Where do we stand on putting in a temporary speed bump? Is that a possibility?
Well, this is something you would want to talk with the Director of Public Works, because they would be the body that would be, and the department within the city that would be handling that. Are you open to perhaps having a meeting with the head of the Public Works or one of the administrators and if that's the case, if you could stay just a while after the meeting, you could set up a time and maybe you could have a conference call or an in-person meeting. Because of COVID, the conference call might be better.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, please do stay, and our assistant administrator is Joe Fawcett, who's sitting there, and the administrator is Lori Treader, who's sitting back in the back row. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Any other visitors tonight?
One more, Anthony King.
Okay.
Please name and address for the record, please.
My name is Anthony King. I live at 2055 Napoleon Road.
Yes.
Last city council meeting, one of my team members, Chris, told you guys that we were working on intensely with voter registration, and helping as many as people as we can register to vote. And so on Wednesday, we're going to go on campus. We're going to set up a table and register the students to vote. We think it's not only important to help the students register to vote, but also to educate them on things such as voter registration, voter suppression, and certain documents that they'll need when they arrive to vote, and encouraging their family and friends to vote. These matters and concerns continue to be of high importance to Brave. That's what I think a meaningful life is. One lives not just for oneself, but for one's community. RGB. I received a message, and someone said that they had this end racism sign vandalized in front of their house. We think City Council and the City Administration needs to see these things. We need to see what happens in Bowling Green. It needs to understand why people of color don't feel safe in Bowling Green. These things need to be dealt with. City Council has to take a more aggressive approach with trying to stop racism from happening in this town and destroy systematic racism that happens in Bowling Green. Thank you.
That's all we have.
Thank you very much. I might say that I have distributed a couple hundred of those signs myself. And I also am very involved in everything Bowling Green does. So I read the police report when I get it. It comes to me on my email now. And I know that there have been a lot of signs stolen of recent also. And that speaks to a city that we don't want to have. We don't want to have it. I'm not with the police department or, anyone running running around neighborhoods looking for parties, or kids that are doing vandalism, or adults that are hitchhiking and vandalism. So I don't see it being done. I don't know why it's being done, and I don't know quite what to do to stop it. In addition to these signs, they are still in political signs a lot too. This time of year, it just seems to happen. But I'm glad you made us aware of what is going on, and we just we need to let people know it won't be tolerated, and I don't know how to do it. Any comments from other members?
You know, it happens in political, in election seasons. Yeah, perhaps my favorite anecdote about this was I put an Obama sign in my yard in 2012, broad daylight, stuck it in my front yard, and walked back to my garage to get a tool to work in my yard. And I came out and the sign was gone, 7 minutes, let's say. So, you know, it happens, and it's really unfortunate. And political signs are taken, no doubt, on both sides. You know, for what it's worth, I bring my songs in now at night, knowing that's the case. But, you know, political signs are one thing. This kind of sign is disturbing
Yes.
in another way. So, you know, I'd just like to echo what Anthony said, that all councils need to, all levels of government need to not let this issue go. You know, I think I'm proud of our resolution, but I think we need to continue to explore racism in Bowling Green, in Ohio, in America, and continue to do any and all things that we can.
Yes. Any other comments? Okay. I think we should perhaps take a look at our resolution one more time too and see if there's anything in that that could help facilitate a better understanding of systemic racism and serve to perhaps educate our public a little bit better about what's going on right now. So thank you very much.
I may add that there's a forum next week, I believe.
Next Monday night.
Downtown is posting on.
Could everyone please speak in the mic so we can hear?
There's a Not in Our Town forum scheduled for next Monday, I believe, that is pertinent to all of this. And I would encourage everybody to go into.
Yes. It's sponsored by Not in Our Town, and it is something where you have to call in. And perhaps we could just have NIAT put it in our weekly newsletter or something this week where you could call in. But that's one way of getting the community more involved, and it's going to take a community. Okay.
And multiple venues.
Yes, that's right. In time. Okay. Kay, do we have any other lobby visitors? No. Okay. Moving on to introduction of new legislation.
Madam President,
Yes.
on behalf of the Finance Committee, I have a resolution authorizing the sale of obsolete or unfit municipally owned personal property which is not needed for public use by internet auction, and is authorizing the municipal administrator to enter into a contract with GovDeals Inc. for ongoing internet auctions for calendar year 2021.
Thank you. Now it's time for official reports. Do we have a report from our mayor, who is standing in for the actual elected mayor, Mr. Hollenbaugh, who's president of city council, is serving as mayor while the mayor is out of town.
This is a new experience for me. I like being on this side of things. In what will clearly be seen as an abuse of power, which I've had for 30 minutes now, I'm going to declare summer officially over and command that fall begin tomorrow. But other than that, I have no report unless you have some questions for me.
Madam Acting President.
Yes.
Mark, I just want to publicly commend you on the job that you are doing as acting mayor.
Thank you. I hope it lasts at least another 10 to 15 minutes.
Are there any other
Uh,
questions of the mayor?
I would like to ask Mark, president or mayor or whatever the appropriate title is, if you could give us, and I join Bill in commending you on the work you did this last week. And would you take a little time to give us a little update on what is the status of the measures we are taking to limit the pandemic, especially with these off-campus students, because that is where the new cases are appearing primarily.
Well, I mean, apart from saying that there was a meeting that was held on Wednesday with the new Wood County Health Director, the Fire Chief, the Police Chief, Mayor, Lori, Joe, and myself, where we discussed several incidents that have occurred in the downtown area and discussed ways to get information out there and things that we could do individually that might, encourage better behavior on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. I really don't have any official statement to make on that.
So one question that's coming up is when people do see some gathering in progress that doesn't look like it's safe, whether it's at an actual establishment or whether it's at a private party in one's neighborhood, is there now a central point where we should be directing our inquiries, where we'll know that there'll be some action taken?
That's something that everybody's coordinating. There was a little bit of a disconnect between the county health department and our various agencies. And part of that is because so many things the state has come out with have come out in a piecemeal fashion. First there were certain orders, and then there was a mandatory mask order put out by the state. And some of the business owners find it confusing because depending on where you look, you get different information. I know one of the things that the health director said that he was going to work on was coordinating a document that puts all of the information in one place so that it's in a more easily digestible form for business owners. And I know that the various departments that attended the meeting were going to work on better communication. That's things that they're working out between themselves, and I'm not privy to the exact details of those. I've only been there for half an hour.
So hopefully by next week, we'll have a more complete picture and more specific information. But it is good to see that there are people working together to resolve these issues of confusion. It's also good to see that the university is starting large-scale random testing, and hopefully we'll have those first results this week, which will give us our first real look as to what the extent of the spreading is at this point. So those are all good signs. So again, thank you very much for your work, President Hollenbaugh.
I know that everybody takes this seriously, and that everybody is doing what they can within the parameters available to make sure that people behave in a responsible way. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Acting Mayor, before you sit down, so
I'm not this busy during a council.
So the statement that's going to go out, that's being compiled by the Wood County Health Department, is clarification on.
It just puts all of the state information into one document, so that it can be sent out to the business owners so that they have everything in one place. Because there was confusion about, there was just confusion about a lot of things. Because you had the initial order, and then you had the mask order, which had things that were different than the original order. And so, and anyone that's ever tried to look up anything on a state website, it's hard to find something if you know what you're looking for. So I think this will be helpful to everyone.
Great, thank you.
Are there any other questions that they have there? Okay. The administrator, do you have any?
I do not have a report unless you have questions.
Okay, any questions of the administrator? Okay, the city attorney, is there a report from the city attorney?
I just want to thank the acting mayor for
Oh, I knew you would. Thank you very much. Any serious questions? Okay, thank you very much. I don't believe there's any other department heads here tonight, am I correct? I don't see any. Okay, moving on, do we have council committee reports from anyone?
And Madam President,
Yes,
I would like to announce that there will be a Transportation and Safety Committee meeting at 6:30 on November 2nd.
6:30, November 2nd.
And on a possibly related note, I'm in the process of trying to coordinate and find a meeting time for the sidewalk commission to meet. And it looks like we may be able to get it early October, maybe sometime first full week in October, but we're still trying to coordinate about 10 people that we need to make sure to get there. And so just to give you a heads up, that at some point there will be an announcement for a sidewalk.
Thank you very much. And will that transportation committee meeting be a Zoom meeting or will that be in person? And then in person, where are you meeting?
Well, it'll be right before the city council meeting, so we'll have a similar setup.
Okay. All right. Any other council reports? Okay, we'll move on to the reading of legislation.
Legislation for first reading. Resolution number 3777 for first reading. Resolution authorizing sale of obsolete or unfit municipally owned personal property which is not needed for public use by internet auction and authorizing the municipal administrator to enter into a contract with Westfield Incorporated for ongoing internet auctions for calendar year 2021. Legislation for second reading. Ordinance number 8866 for second reading. Ordinance eliminating fund numbers 5226, 5336, and 5338 as no longer necessary for municipal budgeting and accounting purposes. Removing chapter 53 of the codified ordinances regarding gas service and amending and adopting section 35.17 of the codified ordinances of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding funds. Ordinance number 8868 for second reading. Ordinance accepting an easement from Mohammed Kamalini and Saeed Ahmed for utility purposes. Legislation for third reading. Resolution number 3774 for third reading. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Madam President,
Yes,
I move to adopt resolution 3774.
is there any discussion? Okay, please call the roll. Leonti,
Yes.
Fitz,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Roland,
yes,
Zanfordino,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
motion carried and resolution 3774 is adopted. Is there any other business to come before?
Madam President, go ahead. I just wanted to just make a brief reminder to all of us that this past September 17th was the 233rd anniversary of the ratification of the U.S. Constitution. I think we should give it a moment to appreciate that the system we live in allows us to be here today due to the efforts of our founders. Thank you.
Yes.
I want to echo what the acting mayor, Mark Collins, stated about face masks and due diligence. And I would like to add my small voice to encourage people that yes, it has been a long time. It's been weathering it a very long time, but now is not the time to relax and be considerate for others and go ahead and practice the safe distancing and face masks so that we can all get through this as best as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Any other comments? Any other, business for
I'd just like to say I've been on campus a bit the last few weeks, and I'm seeing universal mask wearing on campus. It feels different around town, to be certain, in the streets. But I'm certainly, I can't remember the last time I saw a person without a mask in a building in Bowling Green. But I was truly impressed on campus with the 100% performance that I witnessed.
That's very good to hear. Anyone else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so moved.
Second.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. We should go on too. All in favor, say yes. Aye. All opposed. Thank you, the meeting is adjourned. I just don't like that.